Chapter 5 Five Ever Zazen. Theme of love exists in the ether of the thing just in front of us. Perpetuality and mundane wear a similar fragrance, but overwhelmingly, love strikes again to remind Ben that he needs to kiss the girl. And I may read about the ons and fors of how-tos, but when she shows up, I dry into an eddy of butterflies. It's the outline of her neck for me, the first tunnel I see guiding me. Beating eyes of interest draw mine, and I may touch the blossoms of her lips when this ends and they open, caressing the sacred tunnel as we dip at the dance we are about to take. Oh, the bosoming of Mother Nature in her corporeal hills, how they nip. In the plains lay unseen plans to bequeath a future undeserving of lust, but blessed with love to share the dismay in the tension of temptation. It turns in a widening gyre. Stomach down, I see the peak the Titanic did not. The bottom bears the brunt. May we never forget her like they tell us of erect towers. All that meat, from there to the knees, it shakes. Zoom meeting sometime now. Muscles of lost stamina will have me learning how to walk again. The feet and toes I will play with and stare at when I am comfortable, because they know what truth feels like and they smell like it too. But this cologne has always felt a bit off without being bought by you. I am as sure as Superman when he is in the firmament of what he does not understand. About love, how she comes about and who called for her. Completely trusting, enough to follow to the edges of earth. May gravity never give up on me in my walk towards you. Love. Sincerely, Life. On the tip of my tongue is the definition of requiem, which is the dream I wish I could but cannot watch twice. How painful is each second away from intimacy when I see you two in the nightmares. Two a dream, two can do so, but once again I cannot wait to swing again at the pearly gates of love and life at which I thrive. For the next opportunity to dream again about how she smirks in the morning after the greatest night of sleep. When we create euphoric plans, I hope to take over our own world and space. Safe zones and rules of three like trials, tribulations, and triumphs. I glimpse in the river flow of continuums where pigs started flying long before our friends were our haters and leaders. I think that in trust and passion there is no nexus, just a moment when you were stuck and all of a sudden you're rolling on wood with skates. I cannot wait for tomorrow's smirk, which is promised to be there for as long as we are here with health and sanity. We balance. All of us are the best of us, and I see at least one thing of myself in you. Dreams not for the weak, but I and we are comfortable like peas in a pod. On a porch in early April at sunrise and sunset, I see you like I did yesterday and will tomorrow with much fervor and grace. I love you. And when we're out of here, let's make a home for us. For a trilogy of shelter, chivalry, and kissing, a similar tone but different beginning is every morning with you by my hand. And I have let you in the most because you're the one I'll always be searching for, still being this close to you. I can't wait to watch us grow while I sleep and recharge. You are the most refreshing breath that I will love to watch again. My friend awakes from a coma. Naturally, where to start? So we just sat. We were 7 playing freeze tag when his incident was set forth on pause by a new millennium that really did shock some still. The first movie we remember seeing was the second, Back to the Future. I told him it came true, more or less, that Luther Vandross was not around, and he asked me to stop right there with the sad tunes, because his body had grown and mind as well, but through darkness, to him, being awake on earth was heaven. His imagination could not remember how muscles of the face moved. Naturally, he began to cry when I laughed at that simple feature. Overwhelmed by the tickleness of subtlety, we both sobbed savory tears. I grew up next to him still. Knowing he could hear me, I learned to read at his expense, so my education was his, 20 years in. And still he recounted things I could not dream that I had learned, that I had forgotten out in the world by movement. We differed in many ways from the same teachings, and even in the short span of what felt like our first conversation ever, he had to remind me that he has grown in literally one spot and is ready to be wrong about everything several times over just by living. We flew to Amsterdam and made a man out of him, in more of a trance, but the look on his face. Hours at a coffee shop in Seattle, I promised him it's an acquired taste. From Dallas to New York City, at more coffee shops he could taste the difference. Questions arose on his face by the conversations across the street that he could hear and I couldn't, of people talking markets and them crashing, by what he understood as something so terribly unnecessary he could only show me by pointing at grass that was trying to grow between concrete cracks. From his time and space, he had his own language. For some things he did not dare to teach me, since he had left life and returned. He could really describe angels and demons and saw them in the mall, how my interpretations were fair, but only by the time we are rocking in chairs over the fallacy of better days would I stand a chance of knowing. We spent time out in gardens, and he could not stop sniffing, because even I did not think to bring him flowers that he could not see. And his other senses had grown so strong, overwhelmed again, he began to talk in the tongues he said he had taught himself, and dancing, a dance I had not seen since we were 7, the only one he knew, and our first move seen. We are moonwalking through the meadows. To meet everybody, what a thing. And there are too many words about the year of dead bodies piling at such a spate in such few days to go around your apartment, dying of last breaths, absconding from our life source of sun and community. Too many words today for slow love, though those born of scarlet letters, not shunned to shame today. This is our American dream, with its makeshift ditches of bodies and hospitals and respirators and shipping packages, rendering us primal. History lessons, where every century has its story, its people reshape the tales. When the Donald turned into presidency, I met Griffith, an established actor got direct, leaving legacy of turning film into art. Maybe similar tensions turned deals into them too. When Rona made way to the States, I met Mahjong and felt its soaring popularity of roaring 20s. Don't blame the flappers or Gen Z. Maybe ByteDance had its answers since noticing the amount of cow bones Americans would give for entertainment. The purpose is assembling a winning combo of different suits, but we claim not to be fools trying these trends today. At some point in the mystery of enlightenment and exposure, when flagpole sitting was the American craze, I met Simian Stylites. Before and after the possibility of Luddites having a chance, I learned Stylites simply wanted to escape daily pressures. I remember my generation of younger millennials planking at them. I get it, but do we know this, that Fairbanks and Pickford, the first of Hollywood royalty, went not by birth name? Though I admit Ullman and Smith don't sound as nice, they, and Chaplin of A Little Tramp with Hitler's mustache, and Griffith, birthed a nation of united artists, good in spirit until everyone demands bright lights without sweat. There may not be flowered words here, but if I may plant a bud on the ground, may it be our story. Since history has been rigged since we have written, and told in an image of his that is not near truth from mine, since the aliens dropped by and gave us internet, we can learn, however. To our story, part of a 21st century byline, because to have some time to look after the past century, you end up meeting a version of everybody. And what a thing. With Sapphire Sympathy, Part 1. For the boys and girls in blue on fabric with badges, shields, and those true to sorrow a consistent modern age has brought across the sea to rename. I'd love to think that now, my country is brilliant enough to celebrate a name like Kunta Kinte, too. A ruse at first, it was Toby to make sense. So many scores ago, that time seems foreign. Hoarding all the happiness as if that could last forever. What those fathers got right in sustainability, for liberty away from monarchy, because they fled from fear of rule too. Just not strong enough to do or be without my Hugh's strength. True. Time since can be long or short, depending on how much your neck has been broken. You may have survived your hell while others drowned or jumped. I look at the people living present in my same time, stumped. True, like every other time before, but differently. Because of exhausted options, it feels like it must be this or that. Since we think it is weak to feel, trust, that personal responsibility and aid that runs from heaven cannot coexist. As if God and science have not been present always, fully formed, as we stumble against each other, as if we are not brothers and sisters from Africa that ran away, in our ancestors' own way, developing these opposing hues, to find the home because that is different, for everyone, in every time since we have known that when she sets, she will rise and bring newness with yesterday's unchecked tasks. Because it takes both to have a future, which for the first time since those fathers got here and wrote some plans on some papers, more will look unlike them now, the home I am too. True. Ugly yesterday is, fact and fiction, while my angst stares at me, trying to remember which password goes here. Because I live around meaninglessness so much that I know for a fact I would rather be here, looking up at the sky, pondering where imagination comes from. And I think of my unborn and unplanned kids often, knowing life will test them too. So I hope I am wise enough to have them and raise them properly, opposed to living life wantonly. As props in autopilot and tones of mono where everything in one is the same around them that confirms their beliefs without them having any, when they walk into a society that does not know them. Anyway, I have always known fools of various shades, but that is what hell is for, and it takes care of that. So I will walk the unpaved path with fierce sapphire sympathy for the evils of yesterday and that they wane tomorrow a little more. Though I may live for a century and not exhaust them, my best effort they will get. Though I am blue, but of so many gems and shades, in service to a heaven. Theory of conclusions. Rather than stating ending, conclusion carries a softer connotation for anything considered done. Familiar because you wrote the path, and foreign like a new word in your own tongue. We know there is nothing new under the sun, but that bud has all of space to grow, to eventually say, quietus. And trust that the resolution is evolution, whereas it may be reasoned to such degree that we handle our time being done with it, with her, because life is definitely feminine. Maybe it comes as shock, like a child doing anything miraculous, or it comes naturally. An elder falls into the river from the dock. Stars die for all time's sake. Today and tomorrow, persistently, a slow drip faster than sound. May we believe in all the yous, us's, I's. We may see a star die as tragedy, but a swing and miss from the decades of highlights from giants, well lived, in lore, hearts, and memories. This is the oustery for tomorrow, for the sake of 2033, between the sun and the moon. From 1033. There were so many versions of the sky and shades of gray that I appreciated for the first time in my life. From a storm to the strongest double rainbow I ever did see, bearing gloom through phases of the moon, witness to astrological phenomena, blessings, signs. Balcony face downstream, blinds cracked open, light flow raises me. Reading painstaking novels while it sets stage right, dust teeming the apartment gleams for golden hour. I only apologize to the yonder of infinite blues, not seeing many shades sooner. A chapter closed and is beginning on the first full moon I ever did need. Skeptically, vicariously through threes, I did not choose this domicile, carcass, but it me. Where I am leaving are without buds, it is cold, many ruined, but I am promised new scents entwine while I will arrive. Au revoir, familiar streets, and the potholes frequently swerved are still missed. I had no way of knowing the copiousness of JPEGs I would snag. From the balcony, I learned to live. Stay up and stay cool. Untitled, typed once straight through. That is what it is. Theme of love. On the tip of my tongue, my friend awakes from a coma. To meet everybody, what a thing. With sapphire sympathy, theory of conclusions, from 1033. And maybe if there were 8 days in a week, we would be complete, or even, I suppose. Thankfully, we will remain at odds, staying in consideration and discovery. Simple pleasures, I know, hope.